Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast, transforming the way leaders communicate. Here's your host, Alex Swire-Clark.
Welcome to the show. I'm alive, and so are you. Now, what movie does that come from? Guy's got a shotgun about to shoot him. Crazed lunatic employee. Comes from the movie Scrooged. Where he's glad to be alive. He's just coming back and I'm alive. And so he's out of the burning casket, which is a pretty graphic scene, by the way. Anywho, enough about cheesy 80s movies quotes. Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. We're excited to have you with us today. Hello, Liz. How are you?
I'm good, Alex. And boy, what a rough start. My guessing's not good today, is it?
Oh, well, we got another one coming. So that was just your warm up. So,
thank you for a warm up.
You got the softball fastball thing going on. We're gonna make sure you knock it out of the park here. If you haven't listened to our show before, we are here to help you break down the walls of miscommunication, increase your emotional intelligence, and build better relationships in the workplace and beyond.
Yes,
we're trying to prevent the emotional that happens in our lives, both professionally and personally. I am Alex Swire-Clark, CEO, speaker, and certified human behavior expert.
And I'm Liz Parker, certified behavioral analyst, strategic growth consultant, job benchmarking whiz, and Vistage chair, newest Vistage chair in Greenville.
Nice. Greenville, South Carolina.
That's right.
In the Sandlapper State. This show is all about you, the listener, so please give us your input and feedback. Find us on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage, on Twitter at Rapport Podcast, or visit the website at rapportadvantage.com. People have been asking us, where can we find you on the internet? So we are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, Stitcher. At the website, you can go to alexswireclark.com/podcast, and all the podcasts are there too. So those are all the different ways you can find us. And of course, if you want to leave us a digital message through our SpeakPipe app, we'd be happy to take that, your voicemail, and get those questions out on the airwaves. Today, we do have our disc thought of the day coming back into the picture. And it is for Liz to try and guess, and she's going to get it within the first two, I know. So she's going to go into the time machine way back. And here is the quote.
All right, I'm ready.
Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools speak because they have to say something. So, wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools speak because they have to say something.
Okay, so the intonation was a key on that one, I can tell. All right, so wise men speak because they have to say something.
Think Greece.
Greece, okay. So we got Socrates? Aristotle.
Yes, this was Socrates' pupil.
Wasn't that Aristotle?
No, that was this person's pupil or disciple, as it were.
Socrates.
The big three.
Give me the starting letter.
P as in Paul.
Plato.
That was the guy. Plato, one of those trifecta of Greek philosophers. So wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. And
what style was that?
Well, if we think about that, from the communication standpoint, fools speak because they have to say something. And so who are the most likely style to be speaking just because they want to jump in the conversation?
Eyes.
Got to be eyes. Got to be eyes. So, and as we think about, wise men speak because they have something to say, we go back and think of the 80s commercials with E.F. Hutton. Because when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Which tends to be an S.
That's correct, an S. And so, or it could be a C.
Or a C.
Because they tend not to give unless asked for. But
and
when they do.
And the wise men mean theoretical, where they're thinking about a lot of knowledge. So that could be a C.
That's correct. So definitely on that reserve side of things for the first part, and definitely on the outgoing side of things, that I/D side of things for the second part. And not that they're always fools, because eyes do inspire folks and what have you. But sometimes we have a tendency to stick our foot in our mouth. So
that does happen often.
Plato, the wise philosopher from way back in the day.
Wow, that was a big old pull out. So thank you for letting me go back and revisit that memory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Our show topic for today. The 10 best ways to lead high D styles. So this will be our first in a 4-part series of leadership because, again, we're transforming the way leaders communicate on the podcast. And so we want to spend some time talking about how to lead these various styles, whether you're a management position, whether you're in the C-suite, whether you're in an organization outside of that, let's say a church or a youth group or a club, or it could be in your home when you're working with working with kids. So the 10 10 best ways to lead high D styles. And the first one we'll start with is environmental needs. And so from that perspective, number one, we want to make sure that Ds have freedom to make choices. Give them a parameter and say, I don't care what you do as long as it's one of these three choices. And so they'll have that flexibility to go with A, B, or C. In the personal perspective, if you have a high D child, they tend to want to be their own boss. So we've said this on our previous podcast when working with D children for bedtimes. If you tell them, I don't care when you go to bed, anytime you want to, as long as it's between 9:30 and 10:30. And that way they have the authority and the power to choose. I can say, well, I can go to bed at 9:31 or 9:38 or 10:29 or whatever happens to be.
Which I heard you flow right into that second one, which is authority. They do have the authority to do that. And I have a nephew of mine that actually is very authoritative. And, as a young child, they think they have the power right there and they want to make those decisions. So it is very clear when they become a D child.
Yeah, they don't like to be that micromanaged standpoint. They want to be given the tools to be successful and then given the authority to make those decisions to make things happen.
Yes.
Number three is varied activities. And so they like to have a challenges and things which we'll talk about later, but they don't like doing the same old versus a C who can be very happy doing the same process over and over and over again and getting that fulfillment and knowing that they're correct. The Ds, because they're outgoing, they want to do one thing and then move on to the next thing, then move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing, so that their brains are always active and engaged and they're physically active and engaged.
They really do. They want to stay totally diverse in everything that they're going towards. So those varied activities that also lead into more difficult assignments as well, they really take on some big things. So as you look at, I've got one member who actually looks at all these different activities and none of them are easy. They are big projects that they want to jump right into, and they're fine at doing it at multiple, like all at the same time. It's an amazing process.
Yeah, that multitasking ability for those Ds is very evident. And when you're talking about entrepreneurial roles or in project management roles, they like to get in, get started, and then leave and move on to something else because they don't like to sit there and wait and hold hands and let's get all the way through the process and finish it. They're going to get in, hey, okay, Johnny, I need you to come over here and do this. And they're off, working with Sally, and then working with Sally, and they come back to Johnny. Hey, how's it going? We got here, good. Okay, finish that, and so they're moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, so definitely a little support on the side would be helpful for them.
Indeed. Which brings us to number 4, which is difficult assignments. And we've talked about that in our third podcast when we were talking about podcast number 3 about Ds and the D style was they love challenges. And so difficult assignments they see as ways of accomplishing greatness. So, and that can be anything from making them tackle a new software they've never seen before, to working with a person that's new on the team that may be a personality conflict for others. But I can work with Sally. Give her to me. They see that from the people perspective as well as just task-oriented types of things as ways of making them accomplish greater and greater things.
Yeah, and that keeps them engaged. They've got to have those difficult assignments for that. So it kind of goes into when you keep them engaged, they also want to know, as far as a carrot goes, that opportunity for advancement. As they look at how they are going to get ahead in the game, they want to make sure there is a path. If they don't see a path for getting ahead, they're not interested. They're all about trying to move that forward button all the time.
They're driven is one of the D words that we use to describe them. And so when you're working with a D, know that they're going to want to not only have and know what your expectations are, but they're going to try to exceed them all the time. They want that opportunity to say, hey, look at these projects I've made, on my evaluations, I made 5 out of 5 in every category, and I went above and beyond in this way and this way and this way. And so when am I going to get into management? Yeah, you're not quite there yet, Tom. Well, but I've been here for 2 years, and so it's time for me to rah. And so they'll have that argument with you based upon the objective data because all of their measurements are good.
Well, and it just occurred to me also that the opportunity for advancement does not necessarily always have to be a position. It can be a different project because they have those varied interests, which we talked about already with the activities. If you just give them a different assignment, that also can be enough for them to feel like they're getting some advancement. So it doesn't always have to be a position.
That's right. And that's something else that they can put on their CV. And so they see value in that as well. So the more diversified they are in their skill set makes them more marketable and therefore, again, advancing in career and other opportunities opportunities as well. So to review the 5 environmental needs, number 1, freedom to make choices and act on those. Number 2 is authority to be able to make decisions and then input suggestions from a group or just take on the authority to make things happen. Number 3, varied activities. Don't want them doing the same old every day. Number 4, difficult assignments. They love that challenge. And number 5 would be opportunity for advancement, both in projects and from a career standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. Can I move on into the next topic? Are you okay with me doing that?
Absolutely.
Well, you did such a nice job summarizing. So we're moving into responding best to a leader who. So as you think about a D, you need to know that not every D is going to be a leader, even though they want to take control. So we need to look at how as a leader, can you work with them so they respond well? So that's kind of the area that we're looking at. So the first one is you need to, as a leader, provide direct answers for these people. So tell me, Alex, what you're thinking when you hear that.
That means cut to the chase in most of your communications. So from an email standpoint, you don't need to engage with them personally about, hey, Bill, how was your weekend? Oh, did you see this thing? Oh, well, I saw the Masters and it was great. And da-da-da. No, that you haven't even addressed the situation for which the email was written originally, which was, did you get the proposal? I mean, where was that? Where's that? I mean, and so the D's like, dude, we can talk later. What do you need and how can I help you? Oh, well, did you get the proposal? There's your first email. He responds, that D responds back, yes. Then your response is, good, have it on my desk in the morning. Boom, and you're out. And so they don't need this chit-chat or touchy-feely or, hey, how's the family or anything like that. It's just business, get in and get out.
And that's a great idea from an email standpoint to keep it brief. I mean, we're talking one topic, get in and out and be done. Because we're always trying to go, oh, well, we need to make them feel good. No.
Not a D. S's, yes, we'll get there. But from a D standpoint, they don't need that stuff. They're self-motivated. They can get their own things taken care of. So that brings us to number 7 in the list, which is sticks to business. So,
number 7?
Yes. Well, if we're going 5 and 5, I'm just trying to keep it because we're talking about the 10 best ways. So even this number 2 in our response best to a leader, who we're still at number 7. So number 7, response best to a leader who sticks to business. They didn't come for the coffee. They didn't come for the small talk. They came in for, what are we all about? Work is work. And I'm here to put in my 12-hour days or my 15-hour days or whatever crazy amount of time they want to work because they want to get stuff done. So let's get in, get out. Please, dear Lord, do not have some kind of icebreaker in a meeting. I don't need to do this kumbaya, touchy-feely stuff. Give it to me straight. What are the tactical things we need to work on today? I don't need to have emotional intelligence. Who needs that kind of stuff? We're here to get things done.
You're right. And the third one, or the 8th one that you get into is stresses goals. You have got to, as a leader, make sure they see what the goal is at the end of the rainbow. They need to know what results are sought. They need to be able to focus on that. And if you can stress the goal, they can go right towards it for you.
Correct. And they can cut out a lot of the extra fat, if you will, in a process. If I know that I'm going from A to D, is there any way I can bypass B and just go straight to C so I can get to D? Now, I know it's not cool, and we may never have done that before, but hey, how about we try this? And so they'll, that where it comes back to that freedom to make choices, they're going to try to find the most efficient way to get from A to D. And so if that means eliminating a part of a process, that's something they'll do. So give them the goal, let them know the big picture, and they'll find the fastest way and the most efficient way to get to that point.
And if I could just say also that one of the things as a leader, that if you have a D and you're trying to micromanage them and tell them how to do something, you will have conflict with that person. So just understand they can be results driven. They don't need to know how to do it. They will get it figured out.
They will do the research on their own. They will stay extra long. They will make it happen however they need to do it. So number 9, they respond best to a leader who provides pressure. Now, that may seem odd for the people side of the graph, the I's and S's, but D's like pressure. They focus during pressure. They come to the forefront. The cream rises to the top. I mean, they just believe that, okay, I know I've got to have it done in the next 4 hours. They put on their headphones, strap in, pop their knuckles, and they're digging in and they're going. So versus an S will be, I've only got 4 hours left. Oh, no. Get back to work. Get back to work. Help me. They're going to panic and have a heart attack. But, you crack the whip on a D. I heard you the first time. I got you, man. No worries. No worries.
Yes.
We can do this. So totally different mindset there from that left side of the graph or the right side of the graph. So they like the pressure. It gets their adrenaline flowing, gets them engaged, opposed to, we're going to need you to work on this task, and it's not due for 2 months from now. Well, what's the rush then? Give me something I can do right now that I can see results from so I can check my boxes and get that done for the day.
Just to link to one of the last podcasts that we recorded was also being able to adapt. So as a leader, if you are not a D, it is uncomfortable to provide that pressure if you're not really used to doing that. So it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. But by doing that, you get them totally motivated to do what needs to be done. So just as a reminder of one of our previous podcasts.
That's a money point right there. Put it down. A golden nugget from Liz. All right. And then number 10, high Ds respond best to a leader who allows freedom for personal accomplishment. So again, as we talked about earlier, from a project standpoint, from a career standpoint, give them some latitude. Don't just box them in and say, well, employees in this track have always been successful if they follow Well, that's great, but these folks are box breakers. They're going to think outside the box. They're going to act outside the box. So give them that freedom for personal accomplishment, because if you do that as a leader, you might find out there's a new process or a new way to do things that meets the needs of more folks in your company that you didn't even realize.
And you can't even come up with what they're going to come up with. What's so exciting to watch them is that if they are allowed the rope to be able to handle this the way they want to, like you said, that innovation comes out, you see that whole creativity come out, that out of the box thing comes out. So please do just set the goal and let them go so they have that freedom for the personal accomplishment.
And obviously, you need to tell them what their limit is so they know. So back when we talked about, setting goals, you can say, okay, you can do this, just don't fire your entire team, or whatever.
And don't spend $1 million.
That's right. Whatever your total limits are. But, within that time frame or within that, money frame or whatever the framework is, they have that freedom as long as they know what it is. So that they don't have to come back and ask you, okay, how much can I spend again? Or when is this due again? You want them to have those questions answered before they ever ask them.
Definitely. Man, that's a great list of 10. Can we review those?
Absolutely. So 10 best ways to lead high D styles. Liz, you can take the first 5.
Freedom to make choices, authority. Number 3 is varied activities. Number 4 is difficult assignments. Make sure you give them those. And 5 is opportunity for advancement.
Awesome. And then they respond best to a leader who is number 6, providing direct answers, a leader who sticks to business, a leader who stresses goals. Number 9, a leader who provides pressure. And then number 10, a leader who allows freedom for that personal accomplishment. A great list. We have a lot of Ds who listen to this podcast. If you go back and look at our number of downloads for each of our podcasts from our earlier episodes, the High D, Understanding the High D podcast is our number 1 from the D, I, S, and Cs. I thought I's would have been the number 1, but D's are certainly. And of course, that makes a lot of sense because we do have a lot of D's and I's in the sales realm and in the leadership realm. And that's who we try to cater to as an audience. So
well, and I think the series that we're creating is going to be great for each one of these styles. So I love the fact that we're going to do this for the next few weeks.
Awesome. That's going to do it for today's show. I'd like to thank Liz Parker, as always, for joining me. Liz, how can folks get in touch with you?
Please, if you need anything from me, you can email me at liz@ltresults.com or visit my website at ltresults.com.
Awesome. To get in touch with me, visit therapportadvantage.com. If you're interested in finding out what style you are or to get a personality picture of your entire team, head over to therapportadvantage.com, click on the Rapport Store tab, and that will take you to the assessment page. Assessments generally take about 10 to 15 minutes, offer a ton of insights into your specific style and how to work best with others. Also, if you'd like to schedule a free 15-minute coaching session with me to help you improve an important relationship either personally or professionally, fill out my contact form or shoot me an email. Love to help you with that. On our next podcast, we'll dive into the eyes and how to best lead our eyes. And so that will be a fun, exciting topic because it's all about us and we're those high eyes.
It is.
Having a party next time. So anyway, for my broadcast partner in crime, Liz Parker, this is Alex Swire-Clark saying thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Rapport Advantage podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation on Facebook at the Rapport Advantage and follow us on Twitter at Rapport Podcast.